Now, on this particular last problem, letter E, I warned you that the book is going to give it to you in a completely different form. You are going to want to be able to alter it. So I'll show you what the book is probably going to write this in. It really doesn't change the answers to the problems, but it makes stuff later a lot easier. So what they may give you is something like this. That's how they're going to prefer you have it written. And normally that's how they're going to write the answers. I disagree with that. All that does is it makes you figure out a whole nother formula that you really don't have to do. So what was done to letter E, or what did I just do to letter E to have the one that's written in the black there? Yeah, I distributed the 3. That's all I did. And so what you're going to have to be able to do when you see them like this is you kind of got to find where that is, where that variable is, and you want a 1 on that variable. Does that have a 1 on it right now? No, it's got a 3. And so you've got to get rid of that. And this is kind of your Algebra 2 skills hopefully coming back. You've got to factor that out. Right? So whatever number's here has got to come outside. Obviously you have 3x, you take the 3 out, you're left with just the 1x that I want you to have. Or 1 theta, whatever it happens to be. The problem people have is when they have to take it out of that other number. Do you agree? I'm dividing by 3 in essence here is really kind of what's happening for this particular problem. And so it would just end up being pi over 2. So that's how you're going to have to be able to get from this form to that one. Notice now it is exactly the same as what I had written before. Okay? There's no guarantee that that number right there is going to be a nice number. It doesn't have to be. So keep that in mind. But this is probably the form you're going to want. The one in the red, or letter E, as I gave it to you originally. It's going to be a lot easier to deal with. Okay? So any questions so far on amplitude or period? Okay. Once again, what I'm going to do is show you, why this works. Yeah, I'm showing you how to find amplitude. I'm showing you how to find period. But I'm going to try and show you at least why the amplitude works the way it does. So why don't you take a second now and graph sine. Just graph y equals sine of theta on your own right here. You can look at your answer key graph and just kind of trace it in there. But take a second to do that. All right. And yes, we're not going to be grading on artistic skill. We're just going to graph as we go. So when you looked at your sine graph for 0 degrees, where were you supposed to graph it? At 0. How about at 90 degrees, otherwise known as pi over 2? 1. 180, also known as pi. 270, also known as 3 pi over 2. So hopefully your has something to do. Now obviously does the graph go on in both directions? Yes it does. I decided to just have us graph 0 to 360 for this particular example. For those of you that are kind of perhaps getting confused as to where some of the values are coming from, hopefully this will help. And if you are going to struggle with getting some of these graphs done, a theta y table is always going to be an option for you. So if I'm going to go graph, we'll do it in red, y equals 2 sine of theta, excuse me. Well, where do you think pi is the first theta I'm going to choose? If I gave you 0 to 360, what's a value you're probably going to pick? Yeah, pick the easy ones, right? So 0. So 0 degrees over here is this value, which is, do you agree that that point right there is 1, 0? So what we're doing is we're putting 0 degrees right there for theta. We have to take sine of that. Sine of that, we look at our unit circle, and it tells us sine at 0 degrees is what? 0. It's the y value. Okay? So sine of 0, so right here, that much of it is 0. Then you take it times 2, and you still get 0. So did anything really change with that first value? Not really. Okay? So what's probably the next easiest place to graph a point? Where would you go next? I'd probably just go to 90. Could you go to 45 if you wanted to? Yeah. But why not just go to 90 degrees and see what happens? So where's 90 degrees on the unit circle? Otherwise known as pi over 2, or wait, right up here, and the ordered pair is 0, 1. Very good. And so now you're putting 90 degrees right there. You're taking sine of 90 first. Well, what is sine of 90? The unit circle tells us it is 1. So that part of the answer is 1, but then I have to take it times 2. So the actual y value is 2. So you go to 90 degrees, the y value is now 2. Do you agree that it makes an amplitude of 2, though? Yeah. What's going to happen at 180? This is, well, I didn't leave myself enough room, but basically negative 1, 0, right? And so why don't you put that one in and see what you get? What is that value if you actually substitute it in? Well, what's sign there? 0. So 0 times 2 is 0. Probably shouldn't have been too much of a surprise there. How about 270? This probably shouldn't be too much of a surprise either. At least if you understand amplitude, this shouldn't be much of a... Yeah, it's going to be negative. Why is that? Well, you put 270 in, that's down here, which is 0, negative 1, right? And the sine value is the y, so it's negative 1. So sine of 270 is negative 1. Take it times 2, negative 2. And I think probably no surprise that it ends up there. Do you agree perhaps 2 times louder, or it's 2 times higher and 2 times lower than the other one? Yeah, because now if you look at the red one, is the amplitude 2? It is. Okay. Do you have any questions? I am not going to expect you to graph this next one in there, but I would like you to just answer some questions about it. If you try and graph it in, it's going to make your notes a little messy. So probably do not graph this one in, but answer questions about it. How come the one I just did not do that? How come the one the red one we did not do the green one? Yeah, did we change the period when we graphed the red one? No. What is the period of the green one? How long did it take to start repeating? It only took 180 degrees. Now, I'm going to make you think backwards. What number would have to be right there to have made the green one? I see somebody that has the answer. A 2. If there was a 2 on theta, it would have made the green gray. Okay? But that's not what was there. Okay? So do you understand the difference between amplitude and period and where to look for them?